And I got to go back again to saying to you that as the West dies and falls into deeper degeneracy, if you want to call it that, I don't know what else to call it. Pardon me. It's how I was raised. I haven't been re-educated. As we sink further and further into debauchery and lose all of our connection to reality, the Islamists continue to march on. And so I say to you, there's some mystical element going on here. There's a balance here. There's a balance. There's God's hand involved in all of it. So I didn't come back with what I wanted to last time, which was about many Christians think these are signs of end times. Called a mystical Jewish rabbi. Not all rabbis are mystical. Most of them are not. Most of them are just schmendricks. Most rabbis that I've met, the liberal kind, are basically comedians who couldn't get a job in a comedy club. My experience, they think their job as a rabbi is to tell jokes on Friday night and sell bagels and lox on the side, or hummus now today, whatever they sell, and not even reference God because it's an embarrassment to the congregation. That's a Reformed temple today. So I called a mystical rabbi, and I said to him, many Christians think that these are end times. He immediately said, no, to the Jewish mind, these are the beginning times. We don't see it at the end of times. He said, we see mystically, these are the beginning of times. This is God's way of telling us there's a new beginning emerging, that people will awaken to what's going on, and it will be a new beginning for man on earth. So I said, that's interesting. I'm going to learn more from him, perhaps next weekend. They're sending down a real heavyweight from somewhere to meet with me, because I want to talk about this. It's not like we sit with some crystal ball or anything, but I want to hear what they have to say from their point of view. How do they live in a time like this? Now that these justices declared that homosexual marriage is a fundamental right, and they say that anyone objects is a bigot, which demeans the human dignity of homosexual citizens. What does that mean for people of faith? How is that going to affect religious Americans? How will that affect houses of worship? Should radical gays threaten lawsuits when they're denied weddings? And that would be mosques, churches, synagogues, Mormon temples. What will the mosque do when a gay couple tries them? They probably won't try them because they know they're too hard to deal with. They'll go for the Catholic Church. They've already been victorious there. What about religious colleges, adoption agencies, schools, healthcare facilities, where deeply held religious beliefs conflict with the so-called rights that these 9 in black robes granted to homosexual couples? Tell me what will happen. We don't know what's going to happen. I think I know what's going to happen. I know pretty much what's going to happen, especially if we get a radical Democrat president like Hillary Clinton. I know just what's going to happen. You can look to China, where China cooperates with patriotic churches that are willing to work with its Communist Party and persecutes underground churches such as evangelical and Catholic churches that insist on their independence and the Word of God. I know what's going to happen here. In Turkey, there's a two-tiered system of religion. The government funds Islamic education, builds new mosques with government funds, and restricts the activities of Christians. I know it's coming to America. This is government at its worst. The government at its worst. The Supreme Court has decisively rejected the U.S. Constitution and thrown our government into the business of managing our relationship with God, those of us who still believe in God. That's the opinion of most people of faith, not just mine. And we are now, on the other hand, facing a war, a religious war, as I said to you earlier, not known since the wars of religion in the 16th and 17th century. And they ended in 100 years later, where these religious wars began in one place, they began in another. Much like the pestilence that we see now in Tunisia the other day. You didn't even see that on Fox News. Couldn't find it. Martha Washington was busy talking about everything but that. She wouldn't touch it. To Fox News, the Islamist issue is on a cordon sanitaire. Never mention it. They're much like Obama with that. And so it's a dangerous time. I kept trying to find pictures of the guy executing people on a beach with a machine gun. I couldn't believe this. And by the way, remember after that terrible tragedy in South Carolina when that lunatic coward shot up those black people? And Obama had the audacity of lies to get up there and say, this happens only in America, it doesn't happen in Europe. Duh. He forgot about the Hebdo massacre, where Jews and others were assassinated by Muslim fanatics. It happened there, and they have gun control. It didn't happen in Tunisia last week, where they have severe gun control. How'd that happen, Mr. Obama? I guess the sorority didn't report on that to you. You were too busy partying on at the ball. Did you even know what happened in Tunisia, Mr. Obama? Or were you busy looking at the presents that your wife brought back from her shopping trip to Italy, Mr. Obama? Do you know what's going on in the Middle East, Mr. Obama? Do you know about 8-year-old girls who are being kidnapped because they're not Muslims and sold off as slaves, Mr. Obama? Do you know that's even happening? Or are you planning another party tonight in the White House? Or another golfing trip? After all, it is summer. You've worked very hard. You've done your control is very good. You had a trifecta last week, Mr. Obama.